weaning is a bit controversial because, we've told mothers exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months is the way to go. But then there are many mothers who cannot get to 6 months. And so we end up making them feel guilty, like they're shortchanging their children, and in the process it actually makes it more difficult for them. The more worried they are, the more difficult feeding becomes. And then as much as we'll say exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months is a gold standard, different children will get to the point where they need to be weaned at different points. For example, a child whose mother has gone back to work and really cannot, there is no provision for expressing in the office, there is no provision for storage of milk. Expecting that mother to get to 6 months just means that you'll end up with a child who's exclusively breastfed but is starving. Now, different authorities will put the cut-off age for weaning at different points. Some people say 4 months is good enough, some 6 months. The long-term differences, there's little difference. Of course, we would encourage mothers to breastfeed until 6 months exclusively if they can. Not to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months. Not that when they get to 6 months they stop breastfeeding. However, there is about 5 things that you can use to gauge whether a child is ready for weaning. The first one is that they will tend to wake up more frequently at night to feed. They're not really fussy, but they're hungry. Then the second one is that the child does not put on weight as quickly as they were before. Their weight gain slows down, sometimes even stops, because the milk supply and maybe their metabolic needs are neck to neck. 3 is that a child can sit up with support. Before a child can sit up with support, feeding is difficult and they're more likely to keep choking. And then 4 is that the child is interested in food. Initially, children have no knowledge of food, but they get to a point where when you're eating, they're very interested. They'll even follow the movement of the spoon, try to reach for food. Those are the markers that a child is ready for weaning. And if, let's say, a child gets there at 4.5 months, it's a bit tricky to continue exclusive breastfeeding until 6 months, because that means that child will now be starving, that their metabolic needs will not be met. The other thing to remember is that iron stores for babies are good until about 4 months, 5 months. A child gets their iron stores from the mother. There's very little iron in human milk. So beyond the point where now the child has run out of iron stores, if they are not weaned, they cannot get iron from the mother's milk. So you'll tend to see a lot of them did very well initially, but because of delay in weaning, a delay in introduction in iron-rich foods, it means that this child is likely to become anemic. And then, of course, it will slow down their weight gain, it will slow down their general development, even mental development. It will increase the frequency of illness for the child. Yeah, so what I advise mothers is using those basic parameters. Once your child is there, sometimes even as early as 5 months, start. Because what it allows you to do, we need to be realistic. It allows you if you say you're going to wean at 6 months, your child will probably really start eating at 7 months, before you learn their habits, before you've introduced all of the different food types. So 7 months, it means if the child had run out of iron stores at 5 months, you've gone 2 months without any iron in the diet. 5 months is a good start-off point. You can introduce things gradually. Usually you start with starches, maize porridge, rice porridge. It's easy enough. The current advice is interesting. If there is family history of food allergy, then you want to introduce those foods early. If, let's say, you have a family history of, let's say, allergy to wheat, or allergy to dairy, or allergy to peanuts, or allergy to, let's say, eggs, the earlier you start it, the less likely that child will have an allergic reaction to the food. There are maybe 2 schools of thought around why that is the case. The first one is that breastfeeding it induces tolerance. It allows a child who's still being breastfed, and then you have introduction of complementary feeding, is less likely to have an allergic reaction to food than one who breastfeeding has already stopped when you're introducing the food. So the earlier introduction of these foods sometimes means that the child will have been breastfeeding for an extra 3 or 4 months when they're on this food, so their system is being managed by the breast milk. The second one is that with an immature immune system, you're less likely to react at that age, but as you grow older and your immune system matures, you're more likely to recognize certain food types as allergens and then have an allergic reaction to them. So I think breastfeeding is something that needs to consistently be discussed, and it has to be taken as a gold standard, yes. But weaning needs to be child by child. If you notice that the child's weight is faltering, talk to your doctor. I mean, it's not. We cannot starve children in the pursuit of excellent 6 months exclusive breastfeeding.